Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Catch Play, your sports development program, bringing you stories of young and upcoming athletes, stories of individuals that bring change, as well as organizations that believe in sports development in the country. I'm Godwin Aki, and thanks for your company. And it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Gordon. It's always a pleasure to be on this show.
Well, speaking of sports development, now as we all know, with the boost of sports events, just recent 2015 Pacific Games saw lots and lots of kids around the country, as well as young adults, show interest in sports development in the country, Mai.
Yes, you know, this game has really boosted the morale of every athlete in the country, plus the sporting federations. And look, everybody wants to be part of a sporting event right now as we speak.
I think speaking about sports development, the other thing is that now that we have all these new facilities, it's everyone wants to be part of the sports, and even the young kids. We've got these small clinics that have been carried out by certain sporting organizations to have these kids involved in sports development.
Look, you know, to have the kids involved in sport and plus these new facilities, it has really boosted everyone's sporting morale in the country. And, you know, they see role models like Dikatoa, Stephen Curry, Toya Whistle, and, you know, other team sports that they have their role models in. These sports have brought in a lot of people together. Clubs are being boosted. Competitions have been very competitive. So it's great to see that sport is taking a big step in this country.
Anyway, before we talk more on sports development, let's take a look and see what we have coming up for you on the show.
We talk about sports development in the country, NRL PNG League Bilong Laif Inclusive Day, Stereotype Sports, and the 2016 Rio Olympics.
Yes, and there you have it. That's your lineup for tonight. Now back to sports development, Mai. Now you've mentioned just before we saw what we had coming up on the show.
Yes.
Speaking of role models, we've got Dikatoa, Stephen Curry. I think having role models like these athletes, elite athletes in the country, is something that every kid or child wants to be like. And I think that's what's really boosting our sports development in the country. Everyone wants to be part of sports.
Yeah, you know, these kids are out there as spectators sitting and watching their role models competing. And, you know, after these games is over, the facilities is there, everyone's dream is to like, I want to be part of the sporting event, be there to represent my country, have the feel of what it feels like to be an athlete and be like them out there competing. So, you know, that's a great thing that the clubs are doing now, getting kids involved.
I think one good thing was, you know, just looking at our athletes and having the support from our families and our fans to be out there watching the game, as well as cheering for them. That was a good boosting effect that we had, and then that's what brought our country to success at the end of the 2015 Pacific Games. Just one thing I'd like to say that I didn't even know what it felt like to be a spectator, because I was out on the side doing stories, covering stories each day, and I was, it was really good for me. I thought I was, you know, on the side looking at some of the people that you know, I for one, I like, you know, Ryan Pinney. He's my role model, and it was good to be out there with him doing stories each day and looking at the fellow swimmers as well take part in the competitions.
Likewise for myself, as an athlete, always been in the competition arena, and now out on the spectator stand and watching. It was great, but inside of me, I was like, I should have been out there competing. But it was great to sit there and see some of those up and coming athletes that I've seen, and they've watched me as their role models, and they've been competing. It was great to see the success and the training that they've put into place. And now look what the outcome is. The Pacific Games have been a great success. Looking back in 1991 South Pacific Games, I was just a 10-year-old kid sitting and watching, and coming back now, 2015 Pacific Games, what a morale booster for the nation. The government have put in a lot for this, and we should say that the sporting federations now should start be grooming up-and-coming athletes, go out to the communities, develop these kids to become the next role models, make them to be, you know, someone out there. Give them the encouragement and say, look, if you want to be part of that sport, you are out there as a spectator, go out there and do it. Yeah.
Well, I think, it was really good to have this event because I think, Papua New Guineans, we are now, with all this hype going on, we're a sporting nation now, and thanks to the PNG government, our sports minister, and the support from the audience, our families and Papua New Guineans, Papua New Guinean citizens, that was a good thing to have everyone's support that brought our country
to be out there competing. The most important thing is your family. They are the very backbones that will be supporting you to be out there to achieve your goals and dreams, and to see where you're going to be at. And that's the great thing. If you have that support from people on the sides and the country as a whole, you'll be a success in your life and your career in the sport that you'll be taking part in.
Yeah, well, we definitely are growing into our sports culture in Papua New Guinea, which is, we should practice more and continue doing that.
Yeah, watch out, PNG might be taking over the next the sporting events in the world.
Anyway, we'll go for a break now and we'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back, you're watching Catch Play. Now, League Bilong Laif program recently launched their inclusive sports program here in the nation's capital. So let's take a look.
League Bilong Laif conducted special sessions for persons with disability from the Cheshire Disability Services at Hohola in Port Moresby. This session is part of the League Bilong Laif Inclusive Day program, which expands the reach of the program beyond primary schools to other community organizations. A variety of activities have been planned for the day, with the emphasis on the needs of participants of all abilities. As such, the activities have been adapted to enable greater accessibility to all. Activities for the day included were ball handling games, follow the leader, relay game, and try scoring. The hour-long session ended with participants receiving an NRL gift pack.
It's all about highlighting the importance of inclusivity in society. We like to be a program that includes people and children of all abilities, and we want to provide the support to their learning environment here at the Cheshire Homes so that the children get some physical stimulation, enjoyment, and that adds to their enjoyment of school and hopefully helps them with their learning in the school at Cheshire Homes.
While the core of this program is aimed at achieving mass participation to assist with the growth and further development of the code, NRL PNG has also devoted much of their time and skills. League Bilong Laif is creating new opportunities for students with disabilities to partake in rugby league activities focused on achieving inclusiveness and togetherness in the society.
Yes, and there you have it. That was League Bilong Laif with their new program, Inclusive Sports. And Ma, you were there to cover the story.
Yes, I was there to cover that story. Inclusive sports. It's different kind of sports that disability kids are taking part. NRL PNG is doing a really great job, and they visited the Cheshire Homes disability kids, and they took part in all different sports that NRL is doing, especially in rugby league.
Well, I mean, it's good to have these kids, bring them together and show them different side of sports. And it's not just, sports is not just a place where we can just, do certain things. It's about bringing people together. It's about camaraderie. It's about, engaging kids and then learning different things. This is part of development, so we need to do different things and engaging not just the disability, but the able people as well together.
Yeah, the kids took part in 4 different sessions, the relay in rugby league, handball in rugby league. So, handling and the tackling and how to do a lot of different techniques of getting the ball. They used a lot of the kids that were in the wheelchair, as I've seen. It was a great feel of them to hold on to a rugby ball and being part of the relay that they took part using the rugby ball. So, Mark Mom and the team the program coordinators, they've come up with a great thing for the kids, just not only for, like we said before, able kids, but we have given this opportunity for disabled kids to be part of the sports that the able people are taking part in.
I think it's it's a good thing that they've come up with that program, because right now in the world it's one of the most watched area in other parts of the world, in other countries. It's a priority area where people look into, and they try and engage the disabled people to take up inclusive sports.
Like, for example, in London, 50,000 kids come to be part of this this great program, inclusive sport, and giving the opportunity to the disabled kids and making them be part of a sporting event, and make them to have fun and enjoy, to feel that they are not disabled kids. They are also able kids to be part of this event, and especially in ball work and other sports that they can be part of.
I think that's something the PNG government and everyone in the country need to look into, invest into, our disabled brothers and sisters, and we should be proud. Sports brings people together, and that's what we should cherish. Yeah,
if you have disabled family member or kids at home, take them out to be part of a sporting event and make them feel that kind of feeling that, yes, I'm also going out to be part of a sporting event, and it will kind of make them feel healthy and be happy than be sad and vulnerable at times. So this kind of program coming up with the NRL PNG, Mark Mom and the team, it's a great thing that they've done.
Well, that was a good story, Mai.
Yeah, I really enjoyed
it.
Yes, it was great, and
talking about it too.
And what can I say? Thanks to the NRL PNG and the coordinators out there.
Anyway, you're watching Catch Play. We'll head for a break, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Catch Play, your sports development program. Now, what is stereotype? Now, there are so many stereotypes when it comes to sports. So, how do we put this, Mai? Well, stereotype basically it's generalization of individuals or group of people. This is to do with sports. So it's basically saying that if there's a top female out there in the world who can drive a Formula One supercar, then people look at her and go, well, why isn't she supposed to be? Is that supposed to be a male doing that rather than a female? Wasn't she supposed to be at the basketball court or a netball court playing netball?
Yeah, so basically that's stereotype sport that we're talking about. Now, a lot of female nowadays
and that's an interesting point too, because every female now, not many of them want to play netball. They want to all go and play rugby league, which is not bad. I think it's good to see females take part in, and that's what they want to do. That's who they are. That's what they want to do, and no one can stop that. If you want to be a rugby player, of course you can be a rugby player. Yeah. No one's going to come in. But this is in saying that that's a stereotype. That's when people come in and say, well, why is she playing rugby league? Isn't that supposed to be a male sport?
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of people have, they come from a different kind of background. They're brought up differently. Some female have been brought up with, a lot of boys in the family. And they would love to be part of a sport where man is taking part a lot and be in their shoes and to feel what it feels like to be playing a male-dominated sport. And I mean, no one's stopping them to be part of it. So it's great to see that.
I think what you're saying is that sometimes it can be hereditary. So it's in the family. If the brother is playing rugby, the father played rugby, the sister, the mom, everyone wants to be a rugby star. And that's when people come in and start saying, oh, that's good. Some families you go in, it's a sporting family. And to have people like that, they could become role models to different people. But having sporting families is good.
Like around the world, we see women taking up dirt bike riding, driving the racing car, and doing a lot of the male sport around the world. And it's great to see that they come back with the feedbacks and say, they can do it. Anyone out there can do it, be part of the, stereotype sports that male is taking part. So in this world that we're living now, there is no different thing. Everything's just the same. You want to try out something new, you can go out and try it. It's just the way you think. It's all about mental preparation, physical, that makes you want to be part of that sports that you want to take up in.
I mean, on the weekend there was a great game between the rugby sevens in New Zealand. I was watching on the television, and Fijians. How good are these women?
They eat and sleep rugby.
They eat and sleep rugby.
That's just their kind of sport. They love rugby, and you can see that the women there are built like men. And this sport to them is the biggest sport that brings out the Fijian name out there. And not only in the playing field, you see the Fijian women taking up officiating jobs like being a referee or being the sideline judge. So it's great to see that women being part of that too.
Yeah, I think another thing is that we should not start generalizing people. We should just look at people for who they are.
Exactly.
Sometimes these things come genetically. It's your genes. Your genes could be better than mine. Everyone, you can play all the sports, and I can only play one sport. So sometimes it's just genetics, I think.
Yeah, for example, I took up athletics and then switched coach to play rugby union, and it was something new, but to get the feel of what it's like, it's great. If you believe you can do it, nothing is impossible. You can go ahead and do what you want to do, so it's great.
Just before we go for a break, one thing I just want to mention is that Papua New Guineans, we do practice a lot of stereotypes, and that's something we all need to work on, because we go out there, we watch the game, you see like it's something that we need to break. There's so many stereotyping going on. Speaking as a Papua New Guinean, we've all seen it. You've seen it, I've seen it, everyone's seen it. So we should all work together and break this thing down.
Yes, we should.
Anyway, we'll go for a break, so stay with us.
Take you to Rio, fly over the ocean like an eagle, and we can chill in my gazebo. Let me take you to Rio, fly over the ocean like an eagle, and we can chill in my gazebo.
Welcome back. You're watching Catch Play. Now, we all know 2016 Olympic Games will be hosted in Rio de Janeiro. Well, we thought we'd update you on the preparations of our athletes in certain sporting codes that are happening in the country, and as well as tournaments that are in preparations for the Olympic Games. Now we've got a few tournaments that are coming up.
Yeah, we've got boxing. They're trying out for the Olympic Games trial
Qualifier.
Yes.
And that's going to be in Kavieng from the 26th to the 29th.
And also we have the rugby sevens. They're currently in New Zealand competing for to qualify for the Rio Olympics. And athletics, they're in preparations for the competitions. They've picked two of the athletes who are currently in training.
Okay. Also, we've got swimming. Apparently, Ryan Pinney. Now, we have an interview, I must just say, speaking of Ryan Pinney, I did an interview during the Pacific Games on Ryan Pinney, and he said Pacific Games was his last. And I interviewed his wife, and she said to me, well, she would like to see Ryan Pinney for one last time take part in the Olympic Games. So I'm hoping that he goes for this one last time and represent Papua New Guinea, which I'm sure he will.
Well, if he's got it, then he can still compete in the Olympic Games. He's been out there, he's competed in a few Olympics. It's nothing new to him. He knows what the game preparation is like. And also, look, the sports that are preparing for this competition, it's a big step for them. Olympics is the biggest competition for our athletes now, apart from the 2015 Pacific Games, they're the best out of the best that have been picked. And it's now they've been given this qualifying times or competitions, so they have to go out there and do their best. You can say 3 or 4 athletes, but you're one person who has to make that team to go to Rio.
I mean, you've been part of these big games, Maya, yourself.
Yeah,
with Ryan and the rest of the team.
2 Olympics, 2004 and 2008. Olympic Games is the biggest competition, and for us, a nation like Papua New Guinea, you have been picked to be part of this competition. Everything is on your shoulder. You have to do the right thing. Everything has to be right.
So what is it that we need to be mindful of, especially our athletes? I mean, some of them are new to this. It might be their first time to go represent Papua New Guinea, Rio de Janeiro. It's one of the biggest events in the world. And from your experience, what's a good advice for them to take?
Well, I would say that if you're picked for the first time, go out there and, preparations is the most important thing. It's all about mind preparation. And, everything has to be right, as I said earlier on. And, take it as a competition that is like one step at a time, but it's like your lifetime. You've worked this for a long time. It's a lifetime opportunity. So go out there and give it the best you can. And, it has to be positivity everywhere you go. Everything you do has to be positive. So, competitions coming up, it's all focus. You have to be focused for this because you have been picked for, out of all the athletes who wanted to be in the Olympic Games. Being in the Olympic Games, you're one of the top athletes that the sporting federations, the PNG Olympic Committee have come up with. They've picked you. So go out there and do the best you can and, make the country proud.
I think the PNG Olympics Committee, their Go for Gold program, they've raised those big fundraising just to have sponsor these athletes to go to Rio to represent Papua New Guinea. And what they're doing is great to have our athletes, are taken care of, the training facilities. Now we've got great facilities that our athletes can train on, and these are Olympic standard facilities, and it's good for them to train here and then take that experience. There's nothing new for them. It's almost like they've trained at these facilities before, but they're actually going to be in Rio competing for the best of the best.
I mean, look, everyone would love to be part of the Rio Olympics, and these athletes are so fortunate to be part of the PNG team that's going to be going over there. And like I said, preparations has to be right, the right type of coaching. It's all up in the mind. You have to start training your mind to start saying no to things that you have been doing. It's all about preparation. So to those athletes, to those sporting federations who have picked their athletes, it's their time to go out there and start preparing them and getting ready for the Rio Olympics. It's just next year.
It's next year. It's going to be so close.
It's
just around the corner anyway.
So these athletes, it's their food. They have to take it.
Anyway, keep watching Catch Play because we'll be bringing you more updates on the Rio Olympics and the preparations that are coming on towards the Rio qualifiers as well. So that's brought us to the end of our show. But if you'd like to send us your story, or you'd like us to feature any sports development program that's happening in your area, please send us an email to sports@emtv.com.pg, and we'd be more than happy to come by, feature your story and have it on Catch Play, or we can even have a discussion about certain topics that you have in mind. You can come to Boroko Garden City Level 2 and ask for myself or my koime, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. Otherwise, until next time, thanks for watching Catch Play. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'm Godwin Eki.
And I'm Mike Koime.
Good night.
Good night.